topic or something, we can just start talking because
Okay.
I'm terrible at like looking and
It's
thinking.
already recorded. Okay, yes, that's fine.
Yes, exactly. Where were we? All right. So let me quickly review in my mind where we were. So we talked about like depression and like how you actually like realize that there is something. What were your last time when you said you suffered from?
Well, actually, in this lifetime, it's happened 5 times where I've been through really, really big, like, problem stages in my life.
Yeah.
And the first time was in university, actually, and like it was sort of like a family issue. It's like the family is very close and like the biggest thing to me.
Yeah.
And then like we got separated for a while, and it was like a big issue at that moment. And like from someone that was like always with a very, very close family, and then had to live by myself, and like just a very rough patch. That was like the first one. And then another one is about people.
Okay.
Insecurities and like, you know, people and gossiping and talking and that kind of issue. And actually like sometimes I feel it's like I don't really care, but actually I'm quite sensitive to these things. And at that stage of life it made me quite down for a long period of time. A year, maybe a year.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then there's like the relationship ones. I had a 7-year relationship.
Ooh, okay.
And I was younger then.
Yeah.
The recent one. I had one to do with body image.
Okay.
To do with work. Because I work in the entertainment industry and it's very competitive, and especially in Thailand.
Right.
And I'm in a girl group, and like just the whole body image thing and these kind of issues, and people telling me that you have to be like this, you have to be like that, and like I'm very healthy before, and then I tried so hard, and just like, you know, it seems very kind of superficial, but when you're kind of there and like you're trying to work and do your best, like these things kind of get to you, like
they get to you.
They get to you. They get to you. And my recent one, I'm just gonna say them very briefly.
Yeah, sure.
My recent one was about 4 months ago. Due to a breakup, like a long-term relationship. We were together for like 4 years, and we were like, you know, on the verge of marriage, and I had a lot of mental security attached to the relationship. There were a lot of expectations, a lot of hopes, but of course, like, you know, sometimes things go awry, we make mistakes, things don't always go as planned, and then like at that moment I felt like my world was crumbled, fallen apart, and like it's like the things that we could not control, and because it wasn't going like as we expected, and because I put so much effort of expectation on it, that when it didn't work out, like it was quite like it was mutual in a way. There were things that I done, there were things that we didn't, like we tried and it didn't work out, and there was things that I regret, and there are things that like, just a lot of things that it's very complicated because relationships are. Anyways, so when it was that period of like, okay, like when reality hit that it's like no longer, and like what you've been building the hopes of for the last 4 years of your adult life. Building your hopes and dreams of like family, attachment, material things, working towards. I had a sudden loss of who I was. Like I felt like my life goal was crumbled.
Because it was a big part of
it was a big part of my life, and actually like family, relationship, and love, like that is actually kind of my goal. It is my goal. Like I work a lot and I do a lot of things, but when people are like, oh, what's your aspiration, dream, goal, like in the next 10 years? Actually, I like doing everything. So like work is like, okay, if I'm able to do what I love, make money from it, have the lifestyle that I want, then I'll be happy. But actually my goal is to have like a happy family, have kids. And that's very simple for me. And the things that I do, that's okay too. But you know, so that's why when it was such a big hit for me, and I take these things very seriously, like a relationship. I was okay. Well, I guess there's like a thin line between the normal heartbreak syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, like okay, crying, feeling bad about
Everything is
yourself.
terrible, yeah.
Everything is terrible. But because it was, well, it is a very thin line. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no problem.
It's a very thin line. The symptoms I had is like I was crying every day, all the time, for basically many months.
Yeah.
Like literally. And at those points, I was like, I had to go to concerts and stuff like that, and sing and like smile and be bubbly.
Yeah.
But inside, like I was crying all the time. Wasn't able to sleep, like a lot, like basically most of the time. I could fit in some sleep sometimes, but there would always be a lurching feeling in the stomach, like it, and it was like a real feeling. Like it wasn't just like imagining.
Yeah.
The stomach was churning all the time. And the heart was literally like this all the time, as you do, like when you're stressed and when you're. That was a period of like maybe 3-4 months.
Oh, that's.
3 to 4 months of having that feeling, those feelings, and I felt like I had nobody. You feel like it's just you don't see your worth when you're in the mound of depression.
Right.
You're like in this cloud, dark cloud, and normally you'd be like a normal, bubbly, positive person, but when you're down, like it hits you hard.
Right.
You doubt everything. You doubt everyone.
Yeah.
You doubt the whole existence of you, and whether like those people that love you, is it real?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the point of depression. I mean, everyone has people that like loves them.
Right.
Of course, and now that I'm normal, like I know, and you feel grateful for these things. But when you're depressed, you feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not able to differentiate the people that are just there mocking you, or the people that are there helping you but not understanding you. There will be people that you know that they love you, but still you don't. You feel like you deserve it. You feel like you deserve to be in this pile.
Right.
That is the thing.
That's what makes you feel so bad or break or whatever. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because
feeling worthless.
People feel worthless. They feel like they deserve this. They judge themselves. They beat themselves down, and they feel like this is what I deserve for what I've done.
Yeah.
The things I've done, and I don't deserve to live. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes like it makes you have panic attacks when that's like really, really stressed, and there's this a thing called it's where so you're crying and you're breathing in too much oxygen.
Oh, like this
ventilation, hyperventilation, and then that's sort of like a panic attack, and like your fingers and toes are numb, and like what you do is you get a paper bag or plastic, and you
try to breathe.
You try to breathe slower and stuff like that, and it's all a mental thing. It's all like a panic. It's all like they say that feeling is a sudden loss of something that's very valuable to you.
Right.
That's a trigger of a lot of these kind of feelings.
Right. No, of course. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and at first, for many people don't reach out, and even for me, I didn't at the start, because they have this feeling of not wanting to be a burden.
Correct. Yeah.
You don't want to call your friends up. They might know at the start, but you don't want to call them up about the same thing, crying again with nothing new but just emotions.
Yeah.
You don't want to burden people, be annoying. So you just tend to keep to yourself.
Yeah.
And then the more you keep to yourself, the more...
The worse it gets.
Yeah, the worse it gets. Yeah. So in the end, like when it started to get like long amount of time, and like I read about it on the internet and stuff, and I decided to open up to friends and family, and then like I think the amount of support, that's the thing that kind of gets you through.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, of course, people aren't like psychiatrists. They're not going to know 100%
Right.
what they should say or not to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But the thing that helps is support, hope for the future.
Yeah.
Things like helping them through
Yeah.
to solve the problem and that it's going to be all right.
Right.
It's going to be all right helps. But things like I told you so, it doesn't help.
Obviously, yeah.
Things like
Why aren't you happier or something?
yeah, just be strong.
Really?
Because you can't.
Yeah.
You don't want to be strong at that point.
Right, you
even.
can't be
You
strong,
can't
yeah.
even be strong, and you don't know how. And literally, that's why, like, for 4 months, I was not able to be happy. I didn't know how. I forgot. Even though, like, normally I'm like the happiest person.
Yeah, I know you as a super happy person.
Yeah,
Super
and
like, hey,
I
everything's
am
awesome.
like,
Yeah.
like very positive generally, and for that to happen, it's really big kick. It's like a wind in your
Right.
stomach, and so it's serious. Some people get that. Like, there's some people it's chemically, some
Right.
people it's triggered by many things, some
Yeah.
people it's just a bit of everything because
Right.
overthinking, people being sensitive and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, what you said, like, it would help is like then the support, like when the people who support you mentally and say like, hey, I'm here for you or listen to you.
So for about 3 months I was battling with it like on my own and
Right.
trying every way that I
Yeah.
could, like, or acting desperate. You act desperate sometimes, and people see that as, sometimes they don't know, and they'll be like,
Right.
oh, you're calling for attention
Right.
and stuff like that as well. But then when you kind of grasp the reality that, okay, you do actually have to try and move on, be
Yeah.
strong. Like, it takes a lot of time. I think it's a combination of support, combination of time, combination of trying to do activities that will try to help. If you kind of push yourself, they say that if you do activities such as things that will make you feel a sense of achievement, for example, just simple exercising, or
Yeah.
like jobs, or doing things that, okay, you feel a small sense of achievement, that
You're like,
helps.
okay, I did something.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're back to being in control of your
Right.
life again, a little bit.
Yeah.
Start by bit by bit by bit. But it's like you got to see it as an illness first,
Yeah.
sort of, when you kind of, okay, so I have this thing, this is happening to me.
Yeah.
I probably have depression now, and okay, I'm going to cure it like it's a disease.
Right.
And, okay, so we try to do these things, and so maybe for about a month I was like trying to, like, therapeutically
Okay.
help myself.
Yeah.
Firstly, some people, you need retreats.
Yeah.
I was going home a lot,
Okay.
going
Yeah.
to see, being with the family, being with my aunt, my mom, and
Yeah.
the soothing thought of them being there and telling me that it's fine, like,
Yeah.
we'll get through it, and just knowing that there are people
Mhm.
that actually they do care, that
Yeah.
that helps
Okay.
too. So yeah, the people that have a network of friends and family that are ready to support you, it will cure faster than people that don't reach out,
Right.
stick to themselves, stay to themselves.
Okay.
And like, I know this because, like, in the past, when I have this kind of thing, I
Yeah.
don't reach out.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
kept to myself for the whole time, and so yeah, that it takes a long time. And then you do weird things, and then people maybe judge you because they don't actually know what's going on in your brain or in your
Yeah.
head, or why you're acting weird, and you're not going to tell them because you feel like you're being judged. So it's a
Exactly.
ongoing circle, and so then you realize, like, when you're older, that okay, reaching out to the people that,
It's
like,
not a form of sign of weakness. I mean, it just helps. So it's the
Yeah.
right thing to do.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, sometimes it takes courage to
course,
open up to
yeah.
like, family or friends or something.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And then, so it actually this kind of retreat, however you call it, that actually like helps or help in this case. Okay. Yeah, I hear lots about like the triggers. Like the triggers are like and it can be anything. I mean, of course, like a breakup is like an obvious one that everybody can understand at least.
Everyone's probably been through something bad like this, serious or not.
Right, but it affects people differently. And
It affects.
I think that's also the problem is that lots of people would say, okay, there was a breakup. I had a breakup before and I was okay. So that's like why people don't understand like then how it affects other people differently.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. Like what I told you before, like people say, I've been sad before. Come on, get over it. So that's what I hear a lot.
That doesn't help.
Exactly. Of course.
But then again, you've got to understand that you're not going to understand the people that go through this unless you're actually there yourself.
Of course, yes, true.
Like before me being down in my own things, like I've seen friends like who are in bad relationships, going through things and being so hurt, and then you're like, why don't you should love yourself more? Like that's what I thought.
Right.
Like, you know, you care about them, so you don't want them to be like that. But then you think it's that easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You can't just force them to love the right person or make the right choices. They're going through that and they're going through pain. You just gotta sometimes caring and being too judgmental kind of damages a bit more than just kind of supporting and caring, but with a little bit of barrier.
Right.
That.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes caring too much.
Yeah. Because you want those people like.
Yeah, you want to.
Come on now, get better, damn it.
Yeah. Like that.
I understand. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah.
And then sometimes when you're doing that, because it makes them feel a little bit like, oh, I have to go that way only.
Right.
And what if they're still hoping for that way, and they feel a bit like entangled,
also, when others push you, like, come on, you have to get over it, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm okay, even though you're not, maybe.
Yeah.
So you're just pretending, and then it doesn't help you actually. I think at least that's what I get from like all those different interviews or talks that we did so far.
Yeah, well, what I did for me, like I also talked to like a specialist in the field, and like we talked about the symptoms and stuff like that. But towards the end, and I also when I realized that this is probably depression that I'm at this stage.
Yeah.
I actually watched a series that it's called 13 Reasons Why.
Oh God, yeah.
And actually, it's like I watched it because the topic is about like depression and suicide and things like that. Because the character, she goes through lots of high school, the things that people go through, and like it gets too much for her. And like I watched it as a sort of case study and as a I'm not sure if it would help or if it would make it worse, but for me, because I understood, like I just wanted to watch it as a case study to see, and it made me feel better because I think naturally people want to think that they are basically good in their heart, right? Yeah. Most people are, and there's times where you do bad things but it's all due to situations and circumstances that makes you do things, of course, but deep down, we're all okay, right? But when you're depressed, that's where you're kind of like, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm really bad, maybe I'm shit, maybe I'm not a good person like I always thought, and that's why like, maybe I don't deserve to be here. That's the core.
All right.
So that's where it helps to be like, I am an okay person. I'm a normal person that goes through situations, and no one's perfect. And now I'm like this, and there's a reason for it, and it is an illness. It's not blaming it on.
Exactly. It's not your fault, or it's not anyone's fault. Exactly. I think that's important to understand. That's like, but it's also the difficult part to understand, right?
It takes time.
Yeah.
Also, and once you're there, like. And then you can start kind of healing yourself as a human being that is not full of hatred for yourself.
Right.
So depression is like when you're feeling worthless and you're feeling hatred for yourself.
Yeah.
You're feeling hatred. The strong hatred for yourself. That you as a core isn't what you always thought it would be. Yeah. So that kind of like changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that must be like obviously like a insane experience more or less, simply because like because like you said, most people think I'm an okay person.
Yeah.
Once you actually doubt yourself.
Yeah, once you doubt yourself. I mean, sometimes you doubt yourself, sometimes, but then again, like
you're not thinking of yourself of like being like worthless
you're
or bad.
still positive to some extent that I deal with these things. I have accomplishments.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Difficult to deal with them. Like I said, it takes time to then actually like understand that and then deal with it and get over if you can call it like this. Yeah. Huh. Now I forgot all my questions that I wanted to ask you about because it's really interesting topic. Simply, I think because, like I said before, not many people understand what it is. Because, like, still, like if you say like depression, oftentimes it's like, oh, she's crazy, or like this stigma to it. That's why lots of people don't talk about it. Even though I read an article, because I did, like I said, lots of research on the topic, and I read an article in Khao English in Thailand, where they say more than 1 million teenagers suffer from depression in Thailand. So I think like the number...
A lot of people, like, and the regular people, I think most people go through it at some stages in their life.
Yeah.
Whether it be long term or short term or just to some extent, most people have
some experience.
Yeah.
God, yeah. I mean, but then of course, like for some people, it's like more persistent, or it like happens more often or frequently.
Yeah.
And then let me like try to recap this again. So then you said, okay, you have to open up, and you talk with like some professionals or something, right? And then once you understand, okay, it's not my fault, then you
learn from the problems and mistakes, and you take that learning and turn it into positive energy that the future will be better because now you've learned and it won't be like repeating the same mistakes, and that's positivity.
Now Miss Positivity is back. Yes,
exactly, because that's the positive side. Like when you can think with positivity, then you won't be depressed. So depression is pretty much negativity at its full extreme point.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the opposite of positive vibe, pretty much.
Right. Can you say like, okay, now that I handle it, right? Is it then like getting over it, like okay, it's done, or is it just like, oh, it's coming back again, those thoughts, I need to do something?
It does come back sometimes, but there will be some ripples.
Right.
Or like once you're okay, even though I'm done, there'll be some times where you're just lonely and by yourself and have those thoughts. But I don't know. Personally, for me, when I got better, like at the start, I was down, right?
Right.
And then there were times where I thought I was getting better. Like I bought a bike, and I went for a bike ride on my own, on myself, and I realized that the sense of freedom, the sense of I'm actually doing something, it was a sense of achievement, made me feel really good about myself. And so I thought, I'm better, like I'm good. So I did that, I was really happy, went home. Then I realized the next day, I'm back at the same spot.
Okay, yeah.
And then you cry again, and it's the same, and it's like, it's a battle. So you had that, like, going upwards, and then you go down again, and then you'll have some stages where you try and you get back up, and you'll go down frequently, but then there will be, you go through that stage, but then there will be a phase where you are, it's like, it goes up, and it will remain kind of more up than like this. Like, and then when you're up, there will be times where you go down a little bit, but it won't be like that before. That's what I've found personally. So it's, so at the moment I can say like I've cured myself, and I'm back to being the normal me, which is like, happy, able to enjoy life with friends. I love my job, I love the things I do. I find each day challenging. Exercise, I'm eating well. I like day-to-day challenges and accomplishments make me feel like I've achieved. So that's the normal me in my normal sense of being positive. And So there'll be days where I'm down, but it's not like that phase.
Yeah.
That phase where I'm just like in a black cloud,
Right,
where
right,
I'm
right.
I'm not able to smile. I'm not even able to think anything good about myself at all.
See, it's so difficult to imagine you like that.
Yeah, and well, for someone like me, I don't really express myself or go out of my bubble when I'm like that. I like to conclude myself to myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that too.
Yeah. I mean, that's then the problem in the end, right? I mean, one of the problems is that how you explained it before, just like more or less like recapping what you said, like that people can't open up, they stick to themselves, they think like I have to fix it by myself, I have to fix myself.
I always believe
then,
that.
Right. So again, like just to wrap this up with like, okay, so you have to be open up. Don't be scared to ask for help if you feel like it, right? Yeah. Oh, one thing that I found like very interesting, I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. So I did like lots of those talks, right? So I talked with like some of my students, I talked with like health professionals and stuff. And now some of them, they told me, because they weren't really sure, is it depression, is it just sadness, am I crazy? So they try to figure things out. But then they are not brave enough yet to go to a doctor, because like going to a hospital is actually like, or calling a doctor is like a big step. You're like, I don't want to go to a doctor and say like that I'm getting crazy, I'm not sure. So then they did like online tests. So they showed me like there are some tests online that you can do to figure out, are you on the way to depression or aren't you? Is there any chance you ever tried such a test? Because I did, and I just found it very interesting, because there are like questions that when you think about like, have you ever felt like, did you ever have suicidal thoughts or something? And I think lots of people who went through like really bad breakups, for example, they think like maybe the thought was there for like a split second.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, yes.
But then some people actually act out on
Exactly.
it a little bit, or some people try.
Exactly. And I think there's a big difference. And in this online test, even if you say like, okay, I thought about it for a split second, so yes, then you say yes. And then this test might end up telling you, hey, it looks like you have like clinical depression, you should go to the hospital. While actually like there's a big difference between like, okay, I thought about it for like a split second because I was so sad, compared to what you said, there are people actually acting on it. So I think it's still really difficult to actually find like a quick way to figure out, hey, depression, we fix it now, online or via application, for example, because obviously that's not how it works. So it takes time, it takes like help, and it takes like, I don't know, professionals that are there, and that just can give you some tips on how to handle it.
Well, I didn't do like the quiz, but I went online and I read up a lot about it and what it was about and why I'm going through these things. And actually, because my recent one was like triggered by like a relationship, I read a lot of things about like, you know, how to cure heartbreak and like the differences that a man and a woman go through, like the different stages afterwards, and like the stages and things like that. And what was I going to say? Totally forgot. Well, reading about it helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Because instead of feeling like, oh, this is just... Actually, I was going to say, okay, I think diagnosing it, either from a professional or even knowing yourself, that's a first step of achievement.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's a first step of achievement because, as I said before, it's telling yourself that you do have an illness that is not coming from the core of your badness, core of your dark side. It's you, a normal person who went through lots of things and are dealing with a symptom that is a normal effect that comes with dealing with lots of problems that people in the world go through. And so to get it off yourself, you have to cure it like a normal mental illness.
Makes sense,
yeah. Whereas if you're scared of diagnosing it, then you just think it's a part of you and it's attached to you and that's who you are. But it's not.
Okay, understand, yeah.
So, by telling yourself and understanding that it's not who you are, then you can recover more quickly.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But learn from it, of course. Yeah. And actually, something that's also very important is a lot of these things are due to relationships, people, the outside world, and so, well, this is going to be a little bit like an excerpt from Buddhism, but it's detachment.
All right, yeah.
That's important though, because depression is due to unable to be happy, feeling down and sorrow, feeling worthless and all that,
Yeah.
which is the opposite to feeling content
Yeah.
with yourself,
Yeah.
being happy. And a lot of the times we get depressed because we attach our emotional security or our emotions to an object or someone else or family or
Yeah.
the happiness of others or the outside. So when they're gone or something happens and there's something we can't control because we can't control other people or situations, then it's more likely that you'll go through this. Whereas people that are more independent, able to depend on themselves, be happy by themselves, and which is why I find that being able to, if you don't live by yourself, then it doesn't matter. But you have to try to be able to be by yourself and be happy by yourself more.
Yeah.
That's actually something I was sort of struggling to achieve.
Yeah.
Like I see it as a skill, even. Before all my life, I'd never lived alone or been alone. I've always been surrounded by family, surrounded by friends my whole life. And so there was a point where I had to be alone.
Yeah.
And I found it like hard to cope a little bit. Like I'd always like bring family and friends towards me, but then it was a lot of adjustments along the way.
Yeah.
But you know, once you're able to achieve that, like I'm strong by myself. I'm able to be myself. It means you know yourself more. You know
Yeah.
what makes you happy. You know what you can achieve. You know your skills. You know you're more self-reliant, and
don't
therefore you
depend
don't
on
depend
any-
on other people for your happiness.
Right.
So that helps
That's
a lot.
good point, yeah.
And that's also part of why I recovered as well, because I realized, oh, well, I depend on myself a
Yeah.
lot in a lot of ways, and if you don't, then it doesn't matter. But then that's something that you have to work on.
Right.
It's something that you should work on, trying to be financially dependent on yourself to some point.
But it's something that you can work towards.
You can work on.
actually. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter if that's not the case right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're depending on someone else, like no matter what, financially or where
Yeah,
you
but
live,
it can be your goal.
but that can be your goal, and that helps you to get stronger.
And then to accomplish something eventually.
Yeah. Like for the past 3-4 years of my life, that has been one of my like to-do checklists of what to accomplish, is being able to be independent on myself, on my own. And it's not easy. It sounds easy, or some people are more used to it than others,
Yeah.
due to background, due to how they're raised up.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was difficult because I was always raised up very close-knit and warm, but when I didn't have it, that's why, like, you know, in some ways I was weaker
Yeah.
than those who had to have it rough all
Because
the way
they're
through,
used to being
because they're
alone
used to
or-
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I was like I was vulnerable and out of
Right.
my shell, and that's the thing. That's another thing that you can use to help yourself get out of depression is the positivity point of it is that when you go through struggle, that will make you a million times stronger than you before
Right.
the problem. If you get through it, and you will get through it. If you go through an obstacle or a problem, that teaches you like a million lessons that you cannot get like elsewhere. You
Right.
can't pay money to get that kind of lesson. So that will teach you something that will stick with you for your whole life and change you as a person, of how you are, no matter how you try to accomplish this, that, like, you know, try to lose weight. This is something that, like, it's valuable.
Right.
So that's like that's
I
like
agree.
turning
Yeah.
you know, a challenge into a positive thing.
That's actually like
If you remember that, yeah.
Right.
If you remember that while you're in the deep, you will know that, and that
Right.
helps.
Right.
This thought helps.
yeah. I mean, it's actually not only for depression. I think it's all
Everything.
it's in life in general.
Yeah.
Like facing adversity and overcoming adversity actually
Yeah.
like makes you. God, I hate it. Stronger. What doesn't kill you make you
Exactly.
stronger.
What doesn't kill you make you stronger, and that's true. So you got to remember that when you're going through the deepest, and
Exactly.
yeah. And some people some people. Okay, you may say that you're so unlucky because you have to face so many obstacles, whereas some people just have it so easy.
Mm.
Look at it the other way.
Right.
they're the more vulnerable ones.
Exactly.
You're the strong one that
you overcame those.
You overcame them already. You've been through this. You've been through that. That's the experience. That's you as a person. That's like tough as steel. Yeah. Tough as steel.
Nice. Okay. The positive one is like nice. I like it. Like, come on. Yeah. That is true. That all makes sense. Do you have any other wisdom you would like to share right now? Because you're like on a roll. A motivational roll.
Yeah.
Come on.
Besides, okay, being independent.
I mean, that all makes sense, and we can definitely just cut there, and it's like some good advice. Just out of curiosity, I'm also like, I watch like the only thing that I have as like an influencer is like I watch.
Oh.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I do. Actually, the thing that I've also been analyzing a lot and thinking about during this kind of period is the importance of age and stages of life and phases. That is important because
that is true.
Sometimes you gotta realize that people do stupid things.
Yeah.
People fuck up. And they're more prone to when they're younger, of course, and that's because you have less experience. And so, don't judge yourself too much because sometimes it's natural. You're not born perfect.
Right.
Nobody's perfect, and if you don't like stuff up, then you're not going to find the answer, the solution.
Right.
And the stages of life really affect everyone, and in different ways. Some people mature later, some people mature earlier, but you can look back to yourself 2 years like that was past, and you can see how much you've changed. Like 2 years ago, a lot has changed about you.
Yeah.
Everyone can pretty much say that, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't expect yourself at this point in life to just know
Like,
it all
no.
and be perfect. So,
That's true. I agree.
but the most important thing is to keep learning.
Yeah.
And that's the importance of age and phases, and not to be too harsh on yourself.
Right. Now I'm almost happy about getting older.
So be proud. Yeah, exactly. Well, I used to be like, oh, I don't want to grow old and stuff, but actually, at this point, I realize that I want to because it means you go through less of this.
Right.
This like the tornadoes and the cyclones of life because you have more experience and you're more immune.
Right.
You're more immune to getting through them because you have the detachment it takes to like withstand. Yeah.
Once you're my age, you will understand. God, yes, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well,
But it is true, obviously. I mean, all jokes aside, it's true. However, like when I have to say, when I was younger, I tried to avoid those ups and downs by simply not taking any risks, like no matter where. No risks in like relationships, no risks in like.
But that doesn't teach you, does it?
No, it doesn't at all. So that's what I learned when I got older. It's like.
So you take risks.
You have to take risks sometimes.
You fall.
Exactly.
You learn. You get back up. You avoid the problems. You still, Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I completely agree with your
phases, ages. Life stages.
Right. Getting older is okay.
Yeah, it's like when you're at this certain age, you'll care about your friends more. This certain age, you'll give priority to this. You'll be thinking, and it's like natural. It's human nature.
Right. Once you're over 30, you don't give a fuck anymore about friends or anyone.
Exactly.
You're like, what the hell? I don't
and the
care.
older you are, you know what's more important. You know the value of time, the value of people. You don't care as much for the people that aren't as important, that you shouldn't be paying attention to, and you should be, and you pay more attention to the people that actually matter and who's actually important.
To yourself.
Yeah, and to yourself, you give more. You see you for what you're worth.
Right.
More.
But that's a life's journey, right? I mean,
that's a life's journey.
What life is about.
It takes 20, 30 years, 35, 40, 50 to get there.
It never stops. Yeah.
It never stops. Yeah.
Until it does, but then it's like.
Yeah. So you can't expect to just have nothing that happens like when you're 15, even 18, or any age. Like people are different. Some people go through rough things since they're little and they're like 30 inside, even when they're like 20. So it depends. So that's where the thing I was saying before is like the more experience you have, the older, mature you are inside. So yeah.
You've matured a lot since the last time we talked.
Yeah, maybe. Of course.
That is true. That makes sense. Yeah, I like that as like a conclusion or something that is nice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I agree. I hate getting older though. I still hate getting. I mean,
Really?
it makes sense what you said, right?
My birthday's next week.
Oh yeah. Hey, I mean, you're happy about getting older now, so that's
I
fine.
am now, yeah. I actually am now. Like
Can I-
before this, like I was like, oh,
Ask a lady, how old are you getting?
me?
Yeah. Can I ask that?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting 28.
I remember those good old times. Yeah. You're so wise for your age.
Oh, I don't know about that.
When I was 28, I was okay. Yeah. But then again, I mean, yeah, it really depends on the experience and everything, right? But, yeah.
And you know what I was saying before about the phases of life and the life stages. As you get older, you want more peacefulness in your life. You need less excitement. You take less risk because you know what you like, because you've discovered them mostly.
Are you saying old people are boring?
They do less things that cause drama.
That is
Usually,
true. That is true.
but
Okay,
not
that is true.
everyone, because you get 30, 40-year-olds who still act like they're like
Children, yeah, that's true.
children. So
It depends on what they experienced before COVID.
exactly.
I
And actually,
agree.
even for me, like when I was 27, that's the reason for this problem is because I was feeling like I was still in my early 20s. I didn't want to settle down, or I still was having that I'm a teenager kind of mode of life, and therefore I went through all these like problematic kind of thinkings, and I wasn't. When you're older, you just it's simple. You see life as it's simple. It's just happy. Do what makes you happy.
Right.
Have a relationship. Be faithful. Just stay there, or you treat things. You expect less when you're older, right?
I agree. Yeah,
You expect less, therefore you're less problematic, you're less dramatic, and you just go with the flow, and it's easier and more simple, and everything's like more or less problematic, more or less drama.
True. I think, but I'm also like more conscious about like what I'm doing,
Yeah.
like why I'm doing stuff. And
Yeah. You care less about the noise.
exactly. Oh,
That's not
nice. I like
necessary.
That, yeah. Yes,
You-
that's true. I like that.
You have a better radar
Right.
and screen to keep out the things that are irrelevant and unnecessary to your life and well-being and happiness.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
Before, when you're young, you care too much about everything.
And you try to do everything
yeah,
and
you
be
try to do,
everywhere.
and you can't really tell what is important and what's not.
Exactly.
You just try to juggle everything, and it's a mess, and things fall, and then you're a mess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True. Like when getting older, you make decisions based on like is it important, is it not important.
Yes.
So you maybe
prioritize things more better.
right. We should have like more talks about like life and like more of your wisdoms and like follow your maturity, your path to maturity. So this week I learned.
Well, actually, like that's also important. Like I personally I like analyzing.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between the over-analyzing that is overthinking and brings you down, and like you take every tiny small thing and it brings you down and you're stressed, and that's negativity.
Yeah.
That's negativity.
No, but just analyzing why things happen,
Yeah, but
what's the background,
the positive,
impact.
the good part, the good way to do it is just to understand it, understand why it happened, because of this, understand that person. That's just to understand it.
Yeah.
And then if you understand it, then you can like come up with solutions, preventing solutions, and defense mechanisms for the future and things like that. And that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
But if you do the same thing, but like you bring it to a negative notch, then that's not going to help. Actually, it's going to make it worse.
True. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, analyzing is important if you do it right.
Yes, I agree. Like in all parts of life, actually. Yeah, I agree. Actually, like I just started now. I mean, you haven't seen it, but I just started like vlog videos where I talk with like people for like an hour just about like life and just about expectations and what we learned and stuff. And it's really interesting. I talked with like a uni professor like last week, like 1 hour about like he started about international relations, but then we went into life questions, and like then we talked about like at the end, like Elon Musk, right? Of course. So he said like that the probability that we're living in like a simulation, in a computer simulation, are higher than that we are living in like real life. So he thinks that it's more likely that we are computer simulated rather than like actual real living organisms. And then we just talked about that for like 30 minutes. Like, why is that? And it's just interesting, like to see like different people's point of view and like their arguments. So this professor was like Christian raised, and he talked about like from a Christian point of view, it's more like you go through different stages anyway. So then once you ascend to heaven, it's like ascend to a different level, and I'm like. Ooh,
that is very interesting because everyone's got different backgrounds, they're raised differently, they have different views and beliefs, and that's what always amazes me when I meet someone new. I want to hear their story. As the movie Wonder, like that's a great movie, and the main message is that everyone is battling their own battle. So everyone you meet has some kind of thing that they're holding on to, is burdening them. They might even be really happy, but even happy people have their problems. So like every single person has their own story. That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I think so too. So like I'm just like like you said, like it's really to analyze stuff and to think about things. That's also one thing about like when you're getting older, you're taking more time to do like meaningful things. I hope at least
more meaningful,
rather than just like being cool and being everywhere and trying to.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I like how like this turned out to be like a little bit more like a look into your process of maturing.
My life journey and how my post depression recovery.
Yeah.
I'm doing well, aren't I?
Yeah, it looks like it, and you're like all like again like very active and like it's nice.
Well, I like to be like I like to be able to help people or like to try to motivate, inspire people. It gives me great joy to be able to do that when you're in this normal mood, of course. And from me myself going through that problem, like I know that like anyone can go through it. Sometimes it's really, really, really hard.
So let's hope that like at least some people who listen to you, they will like find a way to go through that and open up.
Just know you're not alone.
Right. Yeah. I think that also helps. Like that you know that there are others. Yeah. Nice final message. Cut finally. Nice. Thank you for doing this. Obviously.
It's fun.